Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Hawg Talk Podcast, presented to you by Vision Exteriors. Adam, I'm Porter. Tonight, we will talk about Arkansas's 94-87 win. Sorry, I had it. Well, I was looking at a different screen. 94-87 win over Ole Miss. Talk about Darius Acuff's ninth 20-point performance, which ties a freshman record at Arkansas, and their first 2-0 start in the SEC since the 2014-2015 season. And then, of course, we'll talk semifinal action, college football, NIL contracts, how it could potentially affect NFL. But we'll get right into it. Adam, we both watched the game last night. Look, it was a gritty performance. Loved the fact that how they played team ball. We were talking back and forth during the game. Mentioned the previous game, 7 assists. They came out and were just on fire during the game. Every time Ole Miss came in knocking, they found a way to extend the lead back to double digits. And I was really, really pleased by the performance last night.
I mean, it was, in my opinion, like we just said, it was one of the best team games that we've had this season. I did see some comments out there. I chose to stay away last night, but looking at some this morning and kind of people were talking about that it wasn't a good game, but a win was a win. And I'm like, are we watching the same game here? I mean, you're on the road. It doesn't matter what SEC team. You're on the road in the SEC. Was it the stadium or the arena packed? No, it wasn't. You got people traveling for tonight's game against Ole Miss and Miami. And then you had an 8-6 now, 8-7 team in Ole Miss at the time. So Ole Miss found ways to get themselves back into the game. I think even when Arkansas was up 15 or 16, you knew that Ole Miss still had probably another run in them. It just came kind of a little too late for them. Arkansas didn't let them get within 5, pushed it back out to double digits. So all in all, I think it was a great overall team game. I mean, it's crazy that both teams shot over 50%, 51% for Ole Miss, 52% for Arkansas. If you told me in years past that Arkansas's opponent was going to shoot 51% from the field, I would have chalked it up as a loss.
Yeah. Well, and there for a stretch, it was in the second half. At one point, Ole Miss was 7-7. Arkansas was 5-7. They were just going back and forth, back and forth. But I really wanted to go back. I texted you this last night. There was a key moment in the game. Let me pull up their stats real quick, get his name right. Ilya, if I'm saying his name wrong, Ilya Kamardine, number 6. There was a point where I want to say that Ole Miss length was giving Arkansas problems last night. In the post game, when they were posting Arkansas up on offense, they were able to get some points. On defense, their length was really there at the last end of the first half, was giving Arkansas problems. They checked him out of the game, and Arkansas then goes to take it to a 10-point lead going into the half. I think that was a key point in the game when he went out. I think he had scored 2 or 3 straight buckets at that point, and he gets subbed out. I think that was a big turning point in the game to hold off that flurry, because if Arkansas is not up by 10 at the half, they got in within 2, I believe, there, 2 or 3 in the middle of the second half. That could have been a big game changer when Beard decided to take him out of the game.
And, even early, I was talking to some coworkers today about the game, and, there were some questions about Malik Thomas. He played 25 minutes, but he didn't seem like he was a focal point at any point in time. And I just kind of attributed some of that to, when you started off the game, you had both Carter Knox and Billy Richmond both stepping in defensively, offensively. I texted out that I thought that this was going to be a big game for Billy Richmond, which he ended up with 13 points. But I think this was a game that you look at matchups, and, Malik Thomas has the length, but then you've got Billy Richmond and Carter Knox that are just a bit more physical at this point than Malik Thomas is. And so I think that this is those situations as you're getting into SEC play that you really have to watch the matchups. So you're going to have guys not be as big of a key player in the game, but everybody, I mean, they played their roles well. I mean, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys for Arkansas in double figures.
Mhm.
Every player on Arkansas that played scored.
That's going to be the key to
Mhm.
the. We've said that over and over. That is going to be the key to them winning games. Is you have 4 or 5 and double digit scoring.
And then, here we go again. We've had these questions in the past. We've asked them who is going to be that guy for Arkansas. Last season, a lot of times we had those questions of who's going to be the guy that you want the ball in their hands at the end of the game. Darius Acuff has solidified himself as that guy late in the game. You want him to have the ball because there was one point, I believe, in the second half that he was sitting around 12, 13 points. And it was just kind of like, coming off a 29-point game, you're just kind of like, oh, he's kind of not necessarily in a slump, but maybe he's just not feeling it. First SEC game on the road. And Darius Acuff flipped the switch and found the way. And I'm going to say it. He hadn't had his breakout game yet. I'm waiting for it. I think his breakout game is going to be 35, 40 plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he is absolutely solidifying himself as who you want the ball in their hands at the end of games. And I think Coach Calipari has recognized that as well. Whenever you start seeing what they kept calling the 4 flat, where you've got Darius Acuff with the ball and everybody in a straight line, across the floor, he's clearing the way for Darius Acuff to do whatever, and especially when he has a defender on him that is a step too slow, all bets are off. It's Darius Acuff time.
Yeah, and if it's against a team that doesn't have the length like Ole Miss had, I mean, you think of how many points he could have. But another criticism he got from last game was his turnovers and assists. He had 9 assists and only 3 turnovers. Now, go back to Malik Thomas. He only had 2 turnovers, but they were critical back-to-back turnovers. So you're looking at Acuff and Malik, and this is no diss on Malik. He's going to be a great player, but that's just that freshman mentality that when he gets into the game, that's the difference of him being coming off the bench and scoring 13 opposed to starting and scoring 13. He got in a bind there where had a back-to-back turnovers. Ole Miss comes, I think at the time, 4 or 5 point lead right there, swing. And you got to get a handle on that, because even if you only had 2 turnovers, it's the timeliness of it. You have back-to-back turnovers and they go score 4 to 6 point swing there. I mean, that's huge when you're on the road. Another thing with this team, not one player on Arkansas had more than 3 fouls. That's big. This team is not getting in foul trouble. And on the road against a team, again, with that length, with the guards, they weren't getting in foul trouble. And that's going to be a huge point moving forward. If they can stay out of foul trouble, that's where it's going to help having 4 or 5 guys scoring in double digits, because you're not having to sub people out, bring them in, get them more out, having to play more than 25, 28 minutes a game when they're not used to. Because you got 3 right now: Acuff, Brazile, Knox played over 30 minutes. The rest of it was 21, 21, 24. Malik Ewan had 15 and Billy Richmond had 24. He had 30 points, 24 minutes, and was perfect from the floor. 5 for 5 and 2 for 2 for the free throw line.
And, going back to the field goal percentage again. So Ole Miss shot 51%. Ole Miss, let me see. They had more steals. They had more blocks. I believe, what were the total rebounds? 37 to 20. So Arkansas led there. But you shot over 50%. You had more steals. You had more blocks. But Arkansas just, I think this is, you're seeing a completely just all around more talented team in every facet of this game. And there was times, you're like kind of, oh, here we go, because Ole Miss would go on a little bit of a run. But then Arkansas found a way to extend their lead back out, which they're going to have to do, because it's one of those things. We've seen it before. If Arkansas hadn't gotten out to a large lead, that the opposing team, get themselves back into it. Luckily here, we've seen it in previous games, gets to 7 points or 9 points and Arkansas will extend it back out. You're not always going to have that, especially when you get into the stretch like we talked about on Monday, when you get to Georgia and when you get to Vanderbilt, when you play these teams that are scoring at will. and are undefeated on their seasons, or tougher opponents, if you will. And that's not a knock to Ole Miss, but all around, this was a great team win. I believe Saturday they've got Auburn, so I'm curious to see what they can put together back-to-back SEC game. I mean, can they make it 3 games? Can they make it 4 games? Don't look ahead. Take it game by game. But I'm excited for the rest of the SEC season.
Yeah, and you got Auburn on Saturday, 5 p.m. on ESPN. But another quick point is you're winning these early games. You're fresh in the season. You're not letting these games slip away in the early SEC season, and then you're trying to grind these things out, needing these wins later on in your SEC schedule. So guess what? You're winning these games early when it's early on. Now you're looking on further down in the SEC. You're going to get tired. You're playing back-to-backs, Wednesday, Saturday. Then you turn around Saturday, Tuesday, which you got Vanderbilt on January 20th, 3 games away. But what I'm getting at is the longer this SEC schedule goes, these guys are going to starting getting wore down. They're going to start getting tired. You're getting these grind wins early in the season and not digging yourself out of an 0-5 hole. Now you're 2-0. Again, I stated for the first time since 2015 season, that's going to be a big boost because say they go on a little 3-game skid. All right, reset and let's finish out. Now you're not fighting to stay 500 in SEC play. You've got this 2-game buffer, potentially 3-game buffer to deal with heading into middle of January. That's going to be big moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see one stat. One thing I wanted to bring up too before we transition here is this game, which here it is. Trevor Brazile, finishing with 18 points, 5 or 6 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3. It was actually a 3 that didn't count that Trevor Brazile had hit when he was on the left corner, if you were watching from our angle. But there was a foul off the ball, so it didn't count. But when he made that 3, and I just sat there and I'm just kind of like, this guy is feeling it tonight. Mm-hmm. And if this is the point that I want to see Trevor Brazile, because we've talked about it even this season before. What can you do in the next game after, because we've seen him before when I think it was he hit 6 or 7 threes, whatever it was, one game against nobody. And then the next game he kind of came out and he disappeared. So, okay, you hit 4 or 5 from 3 last night. How are you going to follow that up against Auburn? Because my thing with that is, you hit 4 or 5 at Ole Miss, where, you don't usually shoot that great when you're on the road. So we need to see Trevor Brazile continue this. I'm not saying go 4 or 5 from 3 every game, which would be fantastic. But I want to see the same confidence that he was playing with last night.
Yeah. And you're going into Auburn coming off a loss against A&M that was a controversial loss at the buzzer. Now, I don't know if you had a chance to really see it. From what I looked at, the ball left his hands before the back of the backboard went off. So you think coming into this, I'll have to look and see what their record is schedule-wise. Okay, so they're 9-6 overall, 0-2 in conference. So Auburn's going to be one of them. They don't want to start off 0-3. And coming off of that type of loss against A&M, they're going to be ready. Arkansas's already got a big target on their back. Now you got Acuff playing the way he is. That target's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And with Arkansas fans, like you've mentioned, we're still in, and I hear it in your voice and what you're saying, we're waiting on things to go wrong. We're waiting on things to fail. When is that loss? Okay, they did it, but can Trevor Brazile back it back up? Arkansas is 2-0, but man, so it's going to take a 5-0 start. It's going to take a team that goes to the Final Four to really get this relief off of Razorback fans' backs of when can we relax? Mm-hmm. It seems like every time it happens, the wheels fall off. So I see even in your voice when you're talking about this, you're like, man, this is good, but hold on, let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Well, and especially, looking at, kind of like you brought up, Auburn's 0-2 now. So you're playing Auburn on Saturday. You're playing a team that, number one, the last several seasons, Auburn, Arkansas games have been high intensity. And so now you have an Auburn team 0-2 that probably feels like their backs are against the wall. So these teams like Auburn, they're going to come out swinging because the target is going to be on Arkansas's back every week. We talked about it last season. When John Calipari is your coach, you're going to have the target on your back. But then let's add on top of that, you're currently the 15th ranked team in the nation. You're sitting tied at first in the SEC. So the target is constantly going to be on your back every single night, which gets exhausting. I mean, it gets exhausting for the coaches, but especially the players, because you're going to have these teams coming out throwing everything that they had at you. And I felt like that's what Ole Miss tried to do last night. I mean, they played, I believe they played 12 players, whereas Arkansas only played 8. So you're going to have these teams rotating deep into their bench to just try to keep their guys. I mean, we saw it several times with the Ole Miss of them just doing complete line changes. Like, the announcers mentioned, you see the hockey line changes. You're going to see teams throwing everything possible. And I'm still waiting for, kind of like with the video of the Iowa game that I sent you, you're going to see, I'm waiting for the zone to happen. And if anything, Arkansas needs to do anything, go watch that Iowa highlight of how they defeated the 2-3 zone with 15 passes and no dribbles. It can be done. You've just got to actually practice and implement it, because teams are going to throw you curveballs.
Well, they better, because I'm telling you, somebody who we've been waiting to come back. We've been waiting to see that old person. You're seeing it in their demeanor post game. You're seeing it on the court. Trevin Brazil is turning into a dog. I mean, the old dog that we're used to. I mean, you look at when he is cocky, he is arrogant, and I'm here for it in a good way, because he knows how good he is. And he's one of them that you're talking about. Can he be an All-American? Can he be this type of player? He has a little dip, but I mean, you've seen in last night's game, just his demeanor of how he is playing. You got somebody like Darius Acuff that is controlling that floor general that I wanted DJ Wagner to be. We're seeing Darius Acuff do it all. And that's what's refreshing, is this guy is waving off the offense. He's like, hey, look, I got this. Let's run our set. I've got this. I'm going to shoot a 3. Malik Thomas hitting key threes. If these guys, you don't have to score 15 to 20 a game. If you're hitting key buckets when it's counted on, like, what the hell is people still doing leaving Trevin Brazil open in a corner? You got the whole 3-point line. You should know. Let's leave him on the wing, but if he is in the corner, we have somebody on him at all times, because in that instance, I would take a 2 over a 3 anytime. And that's what they keep doing. And then one that even didn't count, nothing but net. So, yeah, it's hard not to get excited, Adam, about this team. But the more I watch them, the more I see Darius Acuff get more confident taking it to the rack, more confident I see Knox getting back into his game. Because you said it. This team hasn't hit their full potential yet. Darius Acuff has not hit their full potential yet. And I hope that their coming out party is on the 31st when we're there for the Kentucky game.
And shout out to Carter Knox, because there was a spot last night when there was kind of the big scrum, big pile up in the corner by the Ole Miss bench. All the players were around, and it ended up being nothing or whatever. But when the camera was showing the angle of the players coming off, Carter Knox was right there. DJ Wagner was, kind of, but you could just tell by the look on his face, like, yeah, he was a little bit frustrated, but it was a much calmer demeanor than we have seen from him. Wasn't mouthing, wasn't jawing, and that's what we talked about before, was he's got to keep his cool. And so props to him for that. And, Pat Bradley at halftime, I think, summed it up perfectly on why Arkansas is the top 3-point shooting team in the SEC right now. It's because they take the right 3-pointers. They're not jacking up threes. They take them in the perfect spots, and the right player is taking them at the right time.
It goes back to that game I told you about Trevin Brazil when he hit 2 in a row, and then he comes down. He could easily stepped up, spot up for a 3, but he sat there and he stopped and waited for the better option and ended up getting an assist out of it. So, yeah, this team clicking in January, it's something we're not used to seeing, and it's refreshing. But, like, again, pause of caution. We got plenty of SEC games left. Let's see how they do at Auburn. But what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break, hear a word from Vision Exteriors. When we come back, we'll deep dive into the college football playoff semifinals and some NIL contract talk. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding installation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality.
And welcome back to the Hawg Talk podcast. And I don't know if it started on time, but the college football playoff kicks off here in a few minutes with Ole Miss and Miami. I posed the question a little bit before we went on air. Are we all Ole Miss fans tonight?
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
It's one of those things that when we get off here, of course, I'm going to tune in. I'm not necessarily rooting for Ole Miss at this point. I just want to see good games. I don't want to see blowouts. But at the same time, it's kind of like I'm over the whole like rooting for the SEC team because they're the SEC team. That's kind of done. Like the whole SEC, other teams rooting for the SEC and jumping on the whole SEC. No, root for your team. I mean, pick who you want to win. I just want to see a good game. I'm rolling with that Ole Miss in this one because I'm still in the boat of it would be hilarious for them to win it all. Do I think they're going to win it all? No, I don't. But then I don't know. I didn't dive into how much truth there was, but like I saw that Lane was apparently recalling 2 more coaches to come to Ole Miss.
Yeah, he had tried to, but I heard that they're all back. But that's the thing, and I'm disappointed in you. The pettiest person I know. I feel like you've dropped it off. What happened? Was this your New Year's resolution in 2026 that we don't know about? Because me and you were together hand in hand on this pettiness stuff of Ole Miss winning to be petty against LSU. And I feel like you've slacked a little bit.
So the only reason I would say, and this more so goes back towards my despise of Ole Miss, because I know a lot of people have their despise of Texas, their despise of LSU, and rightfully so. Mine's been Ole Miss for a long time. And so it was really just kind of today that I was like, I don't want Ole Miss to win it all because I don't want to listen to their fans for the next however long. Luckily, we didn't have to listen to them very long in baseball because unfortunately, people kind of stopped talking about baseball shortly after it ends. But a national championship for Ole Miss and football would be something we would never hear the end of. But it's just one of those I just truly don't want to hear Ole Miss fans for the next 100 years.
Yeah, that's true. And I think once the Lane think wore off, I think they would start other teams would start catching the strays. But I think for the first year, it's going to be amazing. And the fact that Lane can sit here and I want them to win, and that no, you don't. You want the money that comes from the win, but you don't want them to win. And it's funny to hear that. I can't remember who said it right. Freaking Jimbo Fisher went off on Lane today. But everybody knows they didn't think Ole Miss was going to win that game. So they're like, okay, yes, we'll let them coaches go coach and we'll do this, blah, blah, blah. They thought they were going to lose the game. Now they won. They're like, oh, crap, what are we going to do? What if they win tonight? We're talking about this ongoing drama about the coaches. What if the portal is open? Mm-hmm. What are they going to do if they win tonight and they're playing for a national championship on the 19th? So 10 days from now. I think it would be total disgrace if now, and you watch, they're going to try. They're going to try to get as much coaches that they can. And why do you think Pete's Golding is as pissed off? Because he's trying to win a national championship. Mm-hmm. He's got to worry about his coaches going back and forth or going and not coming back. It's a difference if you're playing double duty, but they're trying to get them to get away from Ole Miss. Y'all signed on for it. and I'm here for it. And until Ole Miss loses, then I'll go back. But this has nothing to do with an SEC versus ACC game. This is strictly, and plus me being an ACC guy, of course, I would kind of want Miami to win. But for every rule, there's an exception. And this exception is to shut up all the LSU people who think they're Alabama, who think they're this program that they're not. And I've said it 20 million times on here that you sold your soul to the devil in 19 to win it all, and you haven't even sniffed the playoff since. But you act like you're still one of those programs, and you want to throw your old BCS national championships and all this. But in reality, what have you done outside the 19?
You're not wrong. You hired Brian Kelly, and
they were glazing all over him. And you got Matt Moscona saying, "Oh my God, Lane Kiffin's a horrible coach." But now that he is your coach, you can't get off his strap.
Mm-hmm.
Love him.
And one thing that, and I know it's all clickbait and engagement farming and stuff, but one thing I am tired of seeing is like, oh, Ole Miss hasn't had any players go to the portal. No shit.
Yeah,
like they're playing in the college football semifinal. So, it's something that the drama is there. The media is going to continue to stir it up. It's one of those, it's the same reason that Lane Kiffin keeps being brought up during Pete Golding press conferences. This guy, props to him, and whatever he says at this point, whether it's him getting angry or him getting petty or him getting whatever, rightfully so, because he wants to focus on his team and the people that are here. And, but this all goes back to also, you bringing up the transfer portal. Here we are once again that you've got these players, these teams. There's going to be a lot of things that happen over the next 2 to 3 weeks. That I think you still have some teams maybe withholding on who they want to take in the transfer portal because they want to wait and see what players enter the portal after the semifinals done or then the national championship's done.
Think about this. I just looked this up. When does the transfer portal close?
The 20th?
I got the answer. No, it is the 16th.
Yeah. So you just
3
can't
days
enter.
Before, 3 days before the national championship. So Ole Miss wins, and there's all this talk of all these Ole Miss players not going. What if they're not playing their cards yet because they're still playing? But guess what? If you win, you've got till the 16th to enter the portal. Think about some of these players tuck tail 3 days before the national championship and say they're entering the portal, whether they still play for Ole Miss or not.
Well, is it
that's going to do the dynamic of the team?
Is there not? And I don't know this, so somebody knows in the comments. Ty transplanted to ever.
5-day additional team.
That's what I was about to say. Is there not a window for it's kind of like the thing if your coach leaves, you get that 5 days, whatever.
I got excited and I didn't read the fine print. I'm horrible at reading fine.
You get 5 games after your season ends.
5 days after,
yeah. So, and I think a lot will be determined. You'll have a run of Ole Miss players that are going to leave. It's going to happen no matter what. Even if they win the national title, you're going to have players that didn't get to play that are going to want to go elsewhere, and they know that Ole Miss isn't going to run it back or whatever the case may be. So,
and you know what? Here's the other petty side of it. I don't care if the whole team leaves for LSU after they win a national championship. Cool. I'm for it, whatever. But they won a national championship without Lane, something that every LSU fan and media person said they couldn't do. I'm good. Let them go. So, but speaking of NIL and speaking of contracts and people signing contracts, the Washington quarterback who signed with Washington is now trying to get out of that. And somebody, some way, somehow got a hold of the agreement. $5 million, I believe.
Yeah.
Adam, that's the Texas Tech quarterback, $5 million. Washington, $5 million. So you think whoever LSU gets, if they're going to outbid, is it going to be $5-6 million? This is more than NFL rookie contracts. So right before the show, I asked you, I know you're NFL guy. What do you think of effectively, not this coming up year, but do you think this is going to eventually affect how the NFL does their rookie contracts? Because you remember, it wasn't but a few years ago, these rookie contracts were making a buttload of money. but these guys were coming in the league, failing, bombing, and now they were stuck with a salary cap. Do you think we're going to see an increase in these rookie quarterback contracts or these rookie contracts now because they're making so much money in the NFL?
I think you could see some adjustments to the later rounds. Obviously, still in the first few round or those guys are making more than the $4 or $5 million that we're seeing these quarterbacks get. I think that what you're going to see soon, and we've talked about this for weeks, if not months, eventually the NCAA is going to have to figure out a CBA. There's going to have to be salary caps of some sort. But no, I do think that you'll see the NFL maybe make some changes to rookie contracts in the later rounds to be maybe a little bit more money. But I think a lot of these players, I feel like slightly different than basketball. Some of these players are going to have to realize that the NFL doesn't want you coming into the league at 26 years old.
Yep.
They don't. So these guys are going to have to understand, like, hey, if you go stay in NCAA football for a couple more years, I feel like in some respects, depending on your class, your age, you're going to be hurting yourself because you're going to be at a point you're 25, you're 26 years old. NFL teams may not want to touch you.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of past that point, or maybe you're in your prime and they know that they're only going to get 1 to 2 years out of you. So I think that they're going to start having to truly play chess a little bit to figure out where their place is from the player's standpoint. But I do feel like that the NFL it will adjust. But then I could also see the NFL putting their foot down and saying, no, we're not going to. I think there's a closer relationship with the NFL and the NCAA than there is the NBA and the NCAA.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I do feel like the NFL would be more willing to work with the NCAA, but the NCAA will have to stand firm with that decision because, like we've seen over the past couple of years, the first lawsuit that hits, the NCAA folds. The NCAA allows waivers, whatever the case may be. Hey, we'll sort this out later. We'll go ahead and let you play or get your money or do whatever. And maybe that's what it's going to take is the NCAA having the backing of the NFL to finally be able to put their foot down to stop some of the nonsense that we're seeing. And like I said Monday, and I said it Sunday on HQ, apparently nobody wants Dylan Raiola at $4 million.
Yeah.
So Patrick Mahomes Jr., good luck in finding another home. I feel like it's going to be a mid-major, maybe even D2. Who knows? I just find it funny at this point because we're seeing more often and more often. When you have 30 to 40% of the players enter the transfer portal, some of y'all ain't going to find a home. And you get to a point where some players leave because it's a necessity. A lot of players leave because of greed. And to those players, good luck because you're now, I think you're starting to see it's coming to light more and more about how many players don't find new homes.
Yeah. And you're in the era of social media where you look at Diego Pavia making a name for himself, getting to the Heisman Trophy ceremony, then of course showing his rear end when he doesn't get chosen, and you're going to see that. And another thing to add to it is when the NFL starts seeing a decline in the product coming into the NFL because of all the transfer portal stuff, because of all the hopping around, you're going from, especially in the quarterback ranks, when you're hopping around from system to system to system, you're not developing. And if you're not developing in college, how is that going to transcend to developing into a college or an NFL quarterback? We seen the guy, I can't remember his name now, where he got drafted and then he just refused. He thought that he could just sit out or he could wait for a new team. I believe he played for the Bengals or was going to play for the Bengals, the rookie this year.
The Texas A&M one that
yes,
he ended up with the Bengals.
Yeah.
After he realized he can't just go back to Texas A&M.
But that mindset of they're not used to hearing no. And I think we're seeing that with this Washington quarterback. I don't know what the update is on it. if he has to stay at Washington. But I mean, to me, when you break a contract or you sign a contract, either you can go, but you owe Washington $5 million now. So now let's say it comes into a buyout like a coach. Say, does he go to LSU? Is it now LSU on the hook for that $5 million on top of what they will pay him? I mean, a lot of questions that one instance, and you said it when the first lawsuit comes out, but I think this is going to come sooner than later. We're going to see what happens when they sign contracts. They're legally binding these kids to these teams, and then they want to jump ship.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we talked about it with Nico and Madden, them leaving Tennessee and Arkansas, respectively, or disrespectfully, however you want to look at it. But we see these teams. Arkansas was one of them. Now Washington, where they're saying, "Hey, we're coming after you for the money." Now it's a little bit different in Washington State because I doubt $5 million has changed hands yet.
Yeah.
Whereas both Nico and Madden had received some of their money from Arkansas and Tennessee. But at some point, somebody's going to get caught up legally. And it's not going to just be a college puffing out their chest saying, where's our money or whatever. My whole thing is the NCAA is going to have to back the colleges if they're in the right in this. And these players are going to have to learn that, hey, you're an adult now. When you sign these contracts, they're legally binding. Because essentially, here's my thing. If you're Washington, do you want this quarterback to be forced to come back? Are you sure you're going to get everything out of him that you can? Or is this just a way to potentially ruin his NFL future or his potential, whatever future he has in football? Because say he comes back and he doesn't give full effort, or the coach benches him, or whatever the case may be, then you get into it. Do you want to be that athletic director or that program that is now known for ruining a player's future? Or do you just put all the blame on the player?
Yes, absolutely. Right there, because it's accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know what, you let this slide, everybody else is going to do it. They're going to sign these contracts. They're going to mean nothing. We've said all along, players deserve to get paid. I'm all for how much they want to get paid. If somebody's willing to pay somebody $5 million, stop griping about it. That's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's saying that NIL has killed college football. I'm sorry, I'm not saying this, but you're not watching college football. You're not watching a team like Indiana and Ole Miss playing in the semifinals. You're not watching teams like Arizona State. These programs that were nothing are making it now. It's not the same 3-4 teams. And a lot of the people that I deal with on Facebook and friends, it's SEC-minded people. They're used to the SEC winning in their teams and their programs. They don't remember the days where USC could win a national championship, or if it was Texas, and now Texas and OU's joined the SEC. We are seeing good football. We're going to get some horrible matches, but that has to do with how they do the college football playoff. If you do a legit 12-team, best 12 team, we're seeding those 12 best teams, no guarantees. You can have your bids, but how the seeding goes is not guaranteed. You're going to have a better college football playoff. If you take out James Madison and Tulane and you put in Notre Dame and Vanderbilt, what would we have had? We could have had better games. You would have had better matchups once they fine-tune that. But I'm tired of people saying NIL ruined college football when we're seeing better college football. We're seeing better college basketball. We're seeing first-round matchups. We're seeing more teams now. Everybody's an Indiana fan now. I love how the programs ran. I love what he is doing. He doesn't have a 5-star on his team, and he is going to play Oregon a second time for a chance at the national championship. I love that about college football. And that's where it gets me, is because I've seen a program like Clemson, what Arkansas wants to do. They want to build a program and become a contender in the college football playoff. I watched the term Clemsoning was an adverb. It was a title of choking away a game. And I watched them build a program and win national championships. But you're seeing it more often now with other teams in lower level schools that now are somebody. And that's because NIL, it's making it fair for everybody. Everybody else has the same advantage. Not everybody is going to have the ability to raise the money, but they have the chance if they get the people to raise the money. Texas Tech, where were they at?
Now, Indiana, I mean, on top of what Signetti's doing, now you have Mark Cuban, who's going to be donating to your transfer portal. So,
well, and throw in Miami. You're bringing back some of these old school programs that were good. USC, bringing back old school programs that were good. You expand the playoffs, and you're giving more people a chance to compete for a national championship. This is what you're getting. You got to, because my biggest argument is if Arkansas had $40 million a year and had the best football program in the country, how many of these people would be bitching about NIL right now?
None. Or very few, at least. Somebody will always complain about something.
Yes, exactly. But majority. Nobody. Because, all right, are you complaining about your basketball program right now?
Nope.
So you can't say that NIL is ruining college sports when your basketball program's one of the best programs in all of college basketball right now. Outside of winning a national championship, they're one of the best programs right now. And if your football team was following suit, you wouldn't be saying a damn thing. That's all there is to it.
Quick update. Arkansas women's basketball is down 29-12 at the end of the first quarter against number 3 South Carolina. A Don Staley coach team is. But I will say, I'm going to give overall hesitation to Arkansas in the transfer portal. I'm going to wait till I see the product put out on the field. But I will say at this moment that I am content with the job that Coach Silverfield and the rest of the staff has done so far with the transfer portal. Just because of the players that we are seeing coming in compared to years past.
Yep.
We are seeing more guys coming from USC, Oregon State, but North Carolina, Maryland. We're seeing guys come from Power 4 schools outside of Oregon State. But that's something we didn't see this much of in years past. We were getting JUCO, D2, a lot of that. So I will at least say, and I'm not going to attribute that to NIL. I think some of it they are paying for a little bit, but I'm attributing to that to just hopefully having a coach that knows what he is doing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that, if you got to give him credit, is he's not this fluke guy at Memphis winning a lot of AAC games. And then he's I think one of the last 5, counting the Arkansas game. Was that 5? The last 5 Power 4 games he played, each won.
Mm-hmm.
So, and 2 of them was Ole Miss, I think, and you throw in Arkansas and then a Florida State win. The biggest thing is Arkansas's had guys come in from bigger schools, but they haven't just always panned out. And I think, let's see how now they have more money. You're getting guys from the big schools that you can pay more money for. So you're getting a higher quality, the guy from Clemson, good player. He's going to really help. They're getting the defensive line because all of it was around what are they getting in defense. Now we're starting to see some defensive names in the portal that Arkansas is getting. And we'll see. Now, I was sad that the kicker did leave for LSU. So, I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But
there is some more. There's more on to that than just what's on the surface.
Yeah, I'm talking about losing him but
from the talk that's gone around is he wanted to stay and his agent was still shopping him around, so he was told to leave.
And I think that's where
these players, these players are going to have to, have these conversations with their agents. And that's the world you get into when you get, obviously his agent's not Jimmy Sexton, but when you get Jimmy Sextons of the world that are constantly going to be shopping you to the highest bidder.
Yeah. And then that's going to come. I mean, with these agents coming into the players part of college football, they're going to start getting on that level of a Jimmy Sexton. They're going to be the guy to go to get the bag. Who do I go to get the bag? Who's the bag man? And when that happens, we're going to see this NIL go to another level because you're going to get that one guy that knows how to play the system. He knows the NIL front to back. He's going to know every way to get the advantage, but because that's like the guy from Damon Williams from Washington. His agent dropped him. So how does that throw a wrinkle in stuff? You don't have an agent. So how is that going to happen moving forward with him leaving Washington and potentially going to LSU? But a lot of questions still to be asked on that. But yeah, going back to the women's college basketball, I mean, it's a tough go. It's going to be a tough go for her this year, first year. But another thing is it's going to show that there's no NIL there.
Mm-hmm.
And until you get the football program intact, we're going to see some of these programs struggle, because right now, all hands on deck, get the football program back. And I'm sorry, that's just the way the landscape of college athletics go. And this is somebody who's been on both sides of it, the men's and women's side, and watching these programs get built at Arkansas. Some are going to fall to the wayside, because you do have softball rolling, soccer rolling, gymnastics rolling. You're having these programs that are winning SEC championships. We see the falling out of Mike Neighbors. And I mean, that was NIL related. He had no NIL help, but it was just not working out and wasn't getting any assistance. That's what happens. You've seen the layout. A women's golf player was getting 28, I estimated, but $28. But that's why it's so important that Arkansas football gets on track, because if you do, and you could get the big donors and the boosters for the football program, you can use that $20 million to help other programs. You could be a Texas Tech like program where everybody's eating because you're having success in all the programs.
Mm-hmm. Wild world we live in today.
Adam, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
Nope. Everybody enjoy the CFP game tonight.
Yes. All right. We got Ole
Miss Miami. I don't even know if they've kicked off yet.
It's kicked off. I think it's still, hold on, let me scroll. Phone's bid. It's still 0-0 right now, 11:41
left. Yeah.
So everybody enjoy. Have a good weekend. Again, new schedule, Hawg HQ, 8:05 on Sundays. We'll be back with you on Mondays at 6:05. For Adam Hall, I am Porter Hayes. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will catch you on Monday.